This is ASUS's biggest, most powerful gaming laptop yet. You can upgrade it without touching a screwdriver, it delivers top-tier performance, and it's wrapped in 360 degrees of RGB lighting. Because we all know, more RGB means more FPS. This is the new Strix Scar 18. But is it actually worth it, or is it just a literal glowing reminder of how much money you spent? Let's break it down in this review. The Scar 18 instantly looks different from any other gaming laptop, except of course its smaller 16-inch brother. This has got to be the endgame for RGB lighting, with that 360 degree light bar, lid logo, and keyboard lighting, while the lid has the same customizable LED lighting that the older Zephyrus models used to have, allowing you to flex on people walking by, because you'll never see it unless you've got the lid closed. The whole laptop has a black finish, metal for the lid, plastic for the interior and bottom panel. Overall, build quality feels pretty good. There's a bit of keyboard flex when pushing down hard, but it feels good using it normally, and the screen doesn't wobble when typing, which isn't a given with bigger 18-inch laptops. The hinges feel sturdy, and I didn't see any obvious flex even if I push them back harder than I should. The laptop feels balanced and opens easy with one finger, but it would have been nicer if the lid stuck out a little so there's something to grab onto. The Scar 18 is on the thicker side, but that's to be expected from a powerful 18-inch gaming laptop. The laptop by itself weighs in at 7.3 pounds or 3.3 kilos, increasing to 9.5 pounds or 4.3 kilos with a 380 watt charger included. It's not too bad compared to other similarly sized 18-inch gaming laptops. A bit heavier compared to last year's Scar 18, but not as heavy compared to options from Gigabyte, MSI, or Alienware. In fact, more laptops are heavier than it once we include the chargers. It's kind of crazy that a smaller 16-inch laptop from Dell weighs about the same as the Scar 18. My configuration has Intel's Core Ultra 9 275HX processor, Nvidia's RTX 5090 graphics, 64 gigs of RAM, and an 18-inch QHD Plus 240Hz mini LED screen. But this is one of the top spec versions. It's available with lower specs for less money with the link below the video, and if it has a good sale, we'll have it listed on our gaminglaptop.deals website so you can get it at the best price. The chiclet keyboard has per key RGB backlighting, and all keys and secondary functions get lit up. Key brightness can be adjusted between 3 levels or turned off with the function and F2 and F3 keys, while the F4 Aura key can be used to cycle through effects. The brightness and effect changes apply to all RGB lighting, so the 360 degree light bar and logo on the lid as well as the keyboard. The Armoury Crate software, the control panel for the laptop, gives you more customization over the lighting, including direction and speed of effects. And you also get to control what's shown on the lid, from animated text to GIFs. The keyboard felt above average to type on. The keys have a slightly tactile press. Unlike the smaller Scar 16, there's room for a numpad here. The touchpad is 36% bigger than last gen and feels great to use. It's very smooth, feels accurate to click, and clicks down anywhere, though it's harder to press up the top. Port selection is decent, with most on the left and out of the way for right-handed mouse users. It would have been nice to have a USB Type-C port on both sides, and there aren't any ports on the back. All display outputs connect directly to the Nvidia graphics, which is ideal for VR and getting maximum performance in games with a monitor connected. You can get inside without any tools. Simply slide the notch towards the front to the side and then pull the bottom panel to the front. Inside we've got the battery down the front, 2 memory slots underneath this cover towards the middle, and installed M.2 SSDs on the left and right. The only thing you can't get to without tools is Wi-Fi. To get to that, you've got to remove 19 Phillips head screws. Then you can pry this second bottom panel off. I'll leave a link to the tools I use for opening laptops below the video. Just watch out for the ribbon cable that connects it to the motherboard for the RGB light bar. I don't like the ribbon cable design, but I'll let it slide as you've only got to deal with it if you're changing Wi-Fi. And that'll be far less likely considering it already comes with the best Wi-Fi 7 option currently available, with one of the faster Wi-Fi speeds we've measured so far. The speeds from the two 2TB PCIe Gen 4 SSDs in RAID 0 were excellent, but in this default configuration configuration, if either of the drives fails, then all data is lost. Both M.2 slots support faster Gen 5 if you're after more speed, and both SSD slots have their Q-latch system, which also means swapping the M.2 drives doesn't need tools either. Although my laptop came with 2 sticks of DDR5 5600 memory, ASUS says it can be upgraded to DDR5 6400 with the new CSO DIMM sticks. The upgrade score is excellent, because I gave it a whole extra point for the innovative toolless design to get inside. All other brands need to pay attention and copy that design. Otherwise, it's got 2 memory slots, 2 PCIe Gen 5 M.2 storage slots, which can both fit double-sided drives, and upgradable Wi-Fi. Granted, it's a little more involved to get to compared to the rest of the more commonly accessed components. The Scar has 4 speakers in total, some below the screen and others underneath down the front. They sound good, definitely above average and clear with some bass. But once you go above 50% volume or so, there's less bass and they're a bit tinny. The Latencymon results were good in our 5-minute idle test. It plays this sound on boot, but you can disable it through the software or BIOS. The Scar 18 is powered by a 4-cell 90Wh battery. I thought this was a bit strange, because the smaller 16-inch model has a 90Wh battery too, but this bigger 18-inch version clearly has space for a bigger 99Wh battery, and I'd just expect the best option in ASUS's best laptop. Panel power saver is enabled by default, which automatically lowers the screen's refresh rate to 60Hz when you unplug the charger to save power. This is why the screen flashes black, and it goes back to 240Hz when you plug back in. You can enable battery care mode through the ASUS software to limit the maximum charge level to 80%, which helps improve the longevity of the battery. Or you could also enable eco mode through Armory Crate, which disables the NVIDIA graphics and may help improve battery life if you don't need the power-hungry NVIDIA GPU. Battery life was great when compared to other bigger and powerful 18-inch gaming laptops, despite many of the others having larger batteries too. It lasts longer compared to previous generations of the Scar 2, but if you want significantly longer runtime, you'll need to look at something with an AMD Ryzen processor. The Scar 18 lost 35% of its battery while asleep for 24 hours, but this isn't a fair comparison with the other laptops, as results depend on the size of the laptop's battery. Here's how much battery power was lost on average per hour, so it burns through a bit more compared to the smaller Scar 16, and is one of the faster drainers tested so far. Let's check out thermals next. The CPU and GPU are covered by a vapor chamber cooler with Thermal Grizzly Conductonaut Extreme liquid metal on both. There are 3 fans, 2 in the usual spots, plus a third one that blows cool air over the middle and out the back. Air only gets exhausted out of the back, so no hot mouse hands while gaming. Air mostly comes in from the holes on the bottom panel, and there are fine mesh dust filters directly over the fans. The thin vents on the sides are actually for air intake, and air comes in through the keyboard too. ASUS's Armory Crate software allows us to change between different performance modes, which from lowest to highest are silent, performance, turbo, and manual. Both turbo and manual modes apply this overclock to the GPU, but only manual mode lets you customize it. Manual mode also lets you customize CPU and GPU power limits, temperature limits, and gives you some control over the fan curves. Whenever we've tested manual mode, all power and temp sliders were maxed out with the fans on 100% speed for best results. The internal temperatures were okay at idle. The rest of the results are from combined CPU and GPU stress tests, which aim to represent a worst-case full-load scenario. But it's not really getting hot in most cases, with the CPU chilling in the low 80-degree range. Closing the lid wasn't much different to having it open, so no problem if you want to dock the laptop. For some reason, the CPU was slightly warmer if I used a metal stand, while the cooling pad I test with, link below, didn't really help at 800 RPM. It does get cooler if we boost the pad up to 1400 RPM, but as you'll hear soon, it's louder too. Setting the laptop's fans to max speed or maxing out the cooling pad made the CPU run hotter, and that's because it takes away power from the GPU and gives it to the CPU instead. I'm not sure why that's preferred, but most gaming laptops I've tested this year seem to behave this way. The RTX 5090 has a 175 watt power limit with dynamic boost, but when the CPU is also loaded up, it runs runs closer to 160 watts with the CPU at 55 watts. These are the same power limits we measured in the smaller Scar 16, so it's disappointing that the bigger 18-inch model can't go higher. MSI's Titan 18, for example, can run its CPU at 95 watts in this same test with the GPU closer to 170. The CPU can reach very high clock speeds with adequate cooling applied, and only at the expense of a little GPU clock speed, which isn't as big of a dip compared to the power differences we just looked at. Here's how an actual game performs with the different performance modes in use. I've got the native results without upscaling shown in purple, and a demonstration of the performance improvement that's possible by setting DLSS 4 to balanced in red. Silent mode is performing much worse compared to the other modes, while performance, turbo, and manual modes don't actually have that big of a difference. The CPU can use more power in a CPU-only workload like Cinebench where the GPU is idle. It's possible to apply a small undervolt in the BIOS, but this only increased multi-core performance by less than 2%. So not much, but I suppose it's free extra performance. Even without the undervolt, it's one of the best results we've recorded so far, basically matching MSI's more expensive Titan 18 with a higher tier processor, but slightly behind ASUS's smaller Scar 16, further leading me to believe we're not getting the most out of this laptop's bigger size. That said, multi-core performance is 24% higher compared to last gen, which is quite a high boost. Performance lowers if we unplug the charger and instead run off of battery power. It's still one of the better performing laptops. However, the last gen model surpassed it in this regard, while the smaller Scar 16 was now even further ahead. As for keyboard temps, most laptops I test are in the low 30°C range on the keyboard at idle, but the Scar 18 was a bit warmer than this in the middle, and it doesn't change a whole lot under load. In most cases, the keyboard actually ends up cooler than just sitting there idle, because once the fans start spinning, they pull cool air in through the keyboard. The hottest point of the keyboard in turbo mode was quite cool compared to most other laptops. Very impressive stuff, but that doesn't mean much if the fans are too loud. Let's have a listen. The fans were off and silent when idling in silent mode. They get louder in the higher modes as expected, but the cooling pad at 800 RPM was a little quieter than not using the pad at all, as it allows the laptop's fans to run slower. Things can get insanely loud if we turn the pad up too high though. Considering performance in games wasn't much better in turbo or manual modes, you could absolutely stick to performance mode for a good balance of performance and fan noise. It's only slightly quieter compared to the smaller 16-inch version of the Scar, and a bit quieter compared to the last-gen Scar 18 design. Actually, it's one of the better results when compared against other bigger 18-inch models. The 18-inch mini LED screen looks great. There's a new layer on the screen that ASUS says reduces reflections and improves contrast. Color gamut was excellent, and the colors are accurate out of the box too, as the screen comes calibrated. The screen has 3 different modes in the Armory Crate software. One zone basically makes all of the mini LED dimming zones act as one, like a normal LCD panel. Multi-zone balance is recommended for regular desktop usage, while multi-zone strong is recommended for gaming and watching movies. The last 2 modes make use of the mini LED panel's 2000 plus dimming zones, but I still noticed a halo effect around lighter content, which was a bit annoying depending on the content. At least you have the option of stopping that with one zone mode though. I haven't seen any other non-ASUS mini LED laptop with this feature. ASUS advertises the panel at 1200 nits, and we measured very close to this at 100% brightness in SDR mode, as shown by the green line. This makes it the brightest laptop we've ever tested so far, though it's quite similar to the smaller Scar 16. I think there's a bug though, because I can only change the mini LED zones with Optimus off. When Optimus is on, you don't get the choice. Backlight bleed was only minor, but this will vary between panels. Panel overdrive is enabled by default in the Armory Crate software to lower screen screen response time. We're looking at a fairly fast average grey-to-grey screen response time, which is alright for a 240Hz panel, but kind of amazing when it comes to mini LED. Here's how a screen transition from black to grey looks on my oscilloscope with the mini LED set to one zone mode. Basically, it's kinda normal and easy to measure. But then here's how the same transition looks with multi-zone set to balance or strong. I think what we're seeing here is the dimming zone starting to get brighter, overshooting the mark, then coming back down, all of which takes time. This makes it much harder to measure accurately, and it would mean a slower response time of closer to 10 milliseconds in this transition with the dimming zones in use. Like I said, it's a good result for a mini LED screen, but is it really a mini LED screen when I've had to test it in one zone mode to make my measuring work? Mini LED panels are most annoying for me to test response time with, as they all seem to behave a bit differently, and that's why some of them have slower results due to the way the dimming zones work. The Scar 18 would be closer to these results with multi-zone balance or strong enabled. So if you want best response times, stick with one zone mode. Despite not having the fastest screen, the Scar 18 still provides a great result in the total system latency test, which is the amount of time between a mouse click and when a gunshot fire appears on the screen in Counter-Strike 2. In fact, the top of the graph is dominated by RTX 50 laptops, so there's clearly a trend here. The Scar 18 has advanced Optimus, so you can swap between Optimus on or off without rebooting to get optimal game performance. It's also got a traditional mux switch available through software, but that one needs a reboot. G-Sync is only available when Optimus is off, but Adaptive Sync is available from the integrated graphics when Optimus is on. So either way, you get tear-free gameplay. There's a 1080p camera above the screen in the middle, and it has IR for Windows Hello Face Unlock, and this is how it sounds while typing on the keyboard. Alright, let's see how well ASUS's most powerful laptop does in games. We've tested it with these settings. Across all three of the games that we test for comparing gaming laptops at 1080p, 1440p, or 4K resolutions, with or without ray tracing enabled, ASUS's Scar 18 was constantly one of the top performing options. This shouldn't be surprising, as the Scar 18 is ASUS's largest gaming laptop, and when configured with Nvidia's RTX 5090 graphics, like the one we've got here, it's got the best laptop graphics currently available too. In most cases, the laptops that beat it only did so by a few frames, which just isn't a big enough of a difference that you'd actually notice it while playing. MSI's Titan 18 was always slightly ahead, but the Titan has a slightly higher tier processor, faster RAM, and higher power limits. Here are the 3D Mark results. Content creator results were decent, towards the top end of the charts, but it was behind a number of last-gen laptops in Adobe Photoshop. The BIOS is nice to look at, but there isn't much customization available compared to other brands like MSI. You can at least apply a slight undervolt, as mentioned earlier. Linux support was great overall, only my 6GHz Wi-Fi 7 network didn't work, and the F4 Aura key to change lighting effects didn't work either. Pricing and availability will change over time, so check the links below the video for updates and current sales. And if the Scar 18 does have a good sale, we'll be sure to add it to our gaminglaptop.deals website. We update it every day with the best sales, so make sure that you check it out regularly to save money on your next gaming laptop. At the time of recording in mid-June, the ASUS Scar 18 with RTX 5070 Ti graphics starts from $2,700 US. The next level up with RTX 5080 graphics goes for $3,400, while the top spec version that I've tested in this video will set you back $4,500. Crazy stuff. I've only just started working on a comparison between a 5080 and 5090 gaming laptop, so I can't say for sure just yet, but I suspect that the extra $1,100 to get the 5090 isn't gonna be worth it for most people, unless you're just rich and really want the best of the best. Make sure you're subscribed for that full video. Then again, I suppose the Scar 18 is more than $1,000 cheaper compared to MSI's Titan 18, which only barely performed better in games, and doesn't even have a working trackpad. Sure, the Scar can't fit as many M.2 drives, and its BIOS is nowhere near as customizable compared to the Titan, but I don't know if that justifies the price gap. The 18-inch version of the Scar is $100 more than the 16-inch version with the 5080, with a slightly larger $200 gap between the 5090 versions. And given performance was quite similar, you'd only want to spend more for the Scar 18 if you want the bigger screen and don't mind the downsides of a less portable laptop. So is ASUS's Scar 18 worth considering? Let's quickly recap the good and the bad. Starting with the good, performance performance is excellent, all while the keyboard area remains cool to the touch when under load. It's the easiest laptop to upgrade I've ever come across, thanks to that toolless design, and it's got the brightest mini LED screen we've ever tested. Battery life is also better compared to other 18-inch laptops, and it's definitely got a unique looking design. Honestly, there aren't that many downsides apart from the price, which should get lower over time. So again, check those links below for sales. A trade-off of the mini LED screen is the blooming or halo effect, which I personally really don't like. And the port layout isn't ideal for left-handed gamers. But if those are the only negatives I can come up with at the end of this video, then the Scar 18 is getting a lot of things right and has a lot to offer for those of you who are after a bigger gaming laptop. But if the Scar 18 sounds too big and heavy for you, then check out its smallest 16-inch brother over here next. You still get most of the same features and performance as the 18-inch version, but in a slightly more portable package. So I'll see you in that one next.